I owe you all a super giant hug for all that Face Awards voting you've been doing, and it is because of Team Alexa that we are here for the NYX Face Awards Top 12 Challenge! Thank you! The round 3 challenge is Optical Illusion. For my Optical Illusion, I decided to do a 3D makeup, but not just any 3D makeup. It's time to go big or go home. Anamorphic 3D. Anamorphic 3D is when you have a super skewed image that's totally wonky and looks crazy when viewed from the wrong angle, but when viewed from the exact right spot, it creates a perfectly proportioned 3D image. It's a very, very cool optical illusion. But before we can dive straight into the makeup tutorial, I have to take some time to explain how I created the illusion first. So the key to Anamorphic 3D is to have the proportions perfect for the skewed image so that when it's viewed from the right perspective, it looks normal. If there is one piece of the look that's even just a little bit in the wrong place, the whole illusion gets totally thrown off. So because of that, it's really hard to freehand Anamorphic 3D. My solution to this is going to take us over to a quick digital tutorial. Start by drawing your creature how you want it to look normally. I drew a basic outline of mine in Photoshop using the pen tool to draw half of his head, duplicating that layer and flipping it horizontally to create the other side of his head. Drew the neck, wrinkles, mouth, and a tentacle. By the way, you could totally draw it on paper and then scan it into your computer if you don't want to draw in Photoshop. It's just a preference thing. Here is where it crosses from normal alien face to 3D illusion. To set up your Photoshop file, you need a plain grid and a flattened out grid on 2 separate layers. There are anamorphic file setups available for free on the internet. I will link you to the one that I used in the description box below. Rotate the setup so it's facing the direction you want your illusion to be. Now just drag your alien face into the anamorphic setup file and scale it down to fit inside of the black grid. Then link the layers of the alien face and the black grid so that you'll be transforming both layers. Using transform, pull the black grid out until it lines up with the blue grid. Now using the perspective transform tool, stretch the image until the blue grid lines up with the black grid. Once your grids are lined up, turn those layers off and you should have a perfectly stretched out, weird looking alien face. Now we're going to be turning this into a stamp type thing so that we can apply the face to our bods with the exact right proportions. To create this stamp, first cover a piece of computer printer paper in shiny tape. I am using packing tape because it's a thicker width so it takes less time to cover the page, but Scotch tape or any kind of shiny glossy tape will work. The idea here is that when you print the image, the ink won't dry on the tape because it has nothing to stick to with that glossy surface. Then load that piece of tape paper into your printer. Before you print, you'll need to flip your image so that it's mirrored, so when you stamp it on, it's facing the right direction. Does that make sense? Then just print the skewed mirrored image to create the stamp. See how the ink is still wet when I run my finger over it? That is good. Trim the paper around your stamp design and you are ready to apply it. Once you think you have it in a good spot, press the paper onto your skin. Once it makes contact, try not to move the paper around at all or it will smear your stamp. Once you feel like you've applied pressure to the whole thing, peel it off carefully. You should have a perfect little stamp of an anamorphic alien head outline. If you don't like the placement or if it didn't transfer well, it comes off super easily with a makeup wipe. I decided to scoop my placement over a little bit so it's slightly off center. You can use the same stamp if there's still ink on it and it's not smeared, or just tape up another piece of paper and print it again to create another stamp. Makeup time! Finally! I start by basing out the whole thing in NYX's new white body paint, which I am so super excited about. This does not need to be a perfect application by any means, it is just a base, but do try to leave the eyes and as many of the wrinkle guides free of the white base paint so that you don't lose where they are supposed to be in their scaled form. Now using my trusty jumbo eye pencils, I go in with electric blue and start filling in those areas to begin basing out some of the light shadowing. I do add in some extra shadowy areas, so don't feel like you have to stick just to the little stencil thing. It's more of just a guide to keep you on scale, so draw to that scale and you'll be fine. After the electric blue, I use a darker blue pencil, Cobalt, to fill in a few areas and make the shadows a little bit deeper. Then when all of my creamy base colors are all laid out, I use a fluffy brush to blend them and soften up those edges. Then I start adding in some darker and more defined shadows using a darker blue eyeshadow and a medium purple eyeshadow on a tiny little detail brush. Now to start building the skin's surface, I am moving on to a layer of shimmery, glistening eyeshadows, including the Prismatic Shadow in Mermaid and several shades of the new pigments. I start with the lighter colors like green and white for the highlights before deepening the shadows with a really beautiful, rich blue pigment. For my color palette, I went with an aquatic type alien. My alien design inspo is a mashup of an octopus, a squid, a hammerhead shark, and a few different X-Files monsters thrown in for good measure. If at any point you feel the need to be able to better see what you are doing, filling in the eyes and adding a quick black outline can really help give you some clarity. For this monster, I'm not really going for perfect line work. While I want him to be symmetrical enough that the illusion isn't too confusing, I still want him to look like an organic creature. So imperfect lines are totally fine for the outlines and skin folds and all that kind of stuff. Speaking of skin folds, I used 2 different purples and a blue of the Vivid Bright liners, the white liquid liner and the matte black liner for defining wrinkles and to break up any huge patches of solid color. Now I am adding a deeper skin shadow with the black primal color eyeshadow. A lot of this process is a back and forth kind of application. Add more highlights, add more shadows, add more color. There is no real method to my madness here, just feel your design and get inspired. So this whole time we've just been ignoring this mouth here. Well, the time has come. I am going to pause the skin texture because the next texture step can get a little messy, so I want to get that mouth all colored in now. I'm going to do the lightest colors first, which are the lavender, macaron lippy for inside the mouth, and then 2 yellows for the teeth. For the darker center of the mouth, I used the Liquid Suede lipstick in Subversive Socialite on a brush to draw out a circle in the middle of the mouth, and then to move the color outward from there. I also used the same color to fill in that gummy lip area around the mouth too. Then I outline the teeth and mouth with black and give some depth to those shadows with the black as well. Add some shimmery purple pigment to the gums and clean up that outline with the matte liquid liner. Add a few wrinkles around the mouth to finish it off. And now it is time for messy texturing, which is my favorite part of this alien look. Choose some liquid shiny colors that fit your color palette and paint them right onto a little sponge. Then use the sponge to stipple the colors all over the alien head to break up colors, add texture, and create imperfections on the skin. For my alien spots, I'm using products that have a metallic finish, including the new Cosmic Metals lip creams and the lid lingeries. Don't worry about going outside of the lines because it can be tough to control exactly where the sponge color will go. Makeup remover and a Q-tip will clean it right up. For the alien's limbs, both the tentacles down below the head here and the tentacles up on my human face, it's all the same basic steps and color palette. This creature has 4 main layers. The base layer with the jumbo pencils, the shiny skin layer with the pigments and the prismatic shadows, the texture layer with the liner and spots, and the gooey top layer, which we will do last. It helps me to think of them as individual layers during my application so that I don't forget any steps. To make the anamorphic 3D image really pop out, it helps to black out a portion of your background. Usually this is going to be on the skewed side of the image. You don't have to do this for the 3D effect to work, but it does make a huge difference in selling the illusion, and it makes it a lot easier for your brain to see the 3D effect. Remember, this illusion is only going to work in one specific pose, so you don't even really need to paint the whole side of your body or your back or anything, because you just need to black out what is going to be in frame of your picture or your video. Next step is to just put a few shadows around the base of where your alien is going to be coming through the skin. I just wanted him to be popping out through these kind of holes. Oh, also, it's hard to know how dark your shadows need to be until you are in the actual lighting that you will be using for your final look. I had to go back and darken up these shadows once I got into the hard lighting style of my intro sequence to make the shadows match the other natural shadows of my body in that light. For now they are brown, but I darkened them to black later. Now that everything else is done, it is time for the top layer. This layer is all about the alien slime. I saved this until the very end because it's hard to put any makeup on top of it, and I just want to be gooey for the least amount of time possible. I wanted my alien to look wet, so I used NYX's Clear Lid Lacquer, which puts a shiny gloss over makeup. To apply it, I just squeeze a little bit of product out of the tube onto a small brush, dab it onto my alien, squeeze another small amount out, dab it on, and so on, and so on. Using small amounts at a time can help you keep control of the lid lacquer so it goes on exactly where you want it and gives your alien this amazing, slick shine. Finally, it's slime time! The alien slime that I'm using is a flarp slime or flubber putty or whatever you want to call it. It has lots of names. Basically, it's a gooey slime that you can make with borax, water, glue, and food coloring. If you Google it, you can find tons of recipes online for DIY flarp slime. You can also vary the proportions of different ingredients to control the consistency and make it runnier or thicker, so you can totally customize the look of your slime. So, as I mentioned before, these tentacles on my face are colored and textured the same way as the head and the tentacle on my chest, since they are coming from the same alien. The only difference with these tentacles is that they are free-handed because they are not anamorphic, and therefore they don't need to be super precise to still give off that 3D quality. You can place these tentacles however you want. You can cover as much or as little of your face as you want. You can make them come out of your eyes, your ears, nose, mouth, even straight out of your skin. The options are limitless. So since we have already seen a tutorial about creating this alien skin and texture, let's just go full on time lapse while I tell you all a little bit about this whole competition that I'm in. The NYX Face Awards. If you have been hanging around my channel for a while, you've probably heard of it because it is literally all I have been doing since April. It is now July. But we are in the home stretch right now, the top 12. If you want to send me to the final round, I need your votes. You babes voting 3 times a day during the voting period by following the link in the description box is the only way for me to reach the top 6, which is the last round. We are so close. As a refresher, the top 6 each get $15,000 and a 2-week trip to LA, where they compete for the grand prize of $50,000 and the title of Beauty Vlogger of the Year. So obviously, I really want this. Please vote. Of course, thank you all so much for all the support and all the voting you have done so far. I truly could not have made it this far without you. So, biggest thanks ever. All of you sweethearts are totally amazing and I love you all so very much. I hope you enjoyed this special little optical illusion video and that you learned a little bit about Anamorphic 3D. Remember, there are many ways to create illusions, not just the way I've shown you here, so if you decide to try Anamorphic 3D with a homemade stamp or freehand, definitely hashtag AnamorphicAlien on Instagram or Twitter so that I can check out your work. Same with your fan art. I love all that you guys do. Thanks so much for watching and thanks again for all of your voting. I will see you all very soon. Until next time, bye guys. I love you.